5 of us playing full court against a fresh team for the whole game, and we got slaughtered. But in that game, I got a rebound and I was just so frustrated. I like dribbled out to the 3-point line and everyone's like, no, 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 no. What are you doing? And I turned around and like sunk it. And they're like, all right, yeah, 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 yeah. Just shoot this. So
People only
then,
love you when you win.
right,
People only
exactly,
love you
right.
when you win.
Now they're on me. All right, guys. Well, welcome back to the podcast. Usually with me, as always, my man Roger. He had some stuff to take care of tonight, but we're fortunate enough to have the legendary Cory Sandhagen on with us today. Thanks for being here, brother. I know you've been on the grind since the last fight, with interviews and podcasts and all that stuff. I'm sure you're probably sick of talking to everybody, but I really do appreciate you coming on. Everyone's super excited, like of all the people that we posted about. I think we posted that we were bringing on some pretty cool guests, and everyone was most excited about you.
Hell yeah,
Um,
cool. That's good to
before
hear.
even before your fight, before your last fight. So everybody's
Nice.
already on the Cory train. Obviously, I am too. We've known each other for a little while now, and
Yeah.
yeah, as soon as I did this thing, you were one of the first people I thought of and wanted to try to get on.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man.
So how's your day going, man? I know you had some stuff going on today.
Yeah, it's good. Just trying to get in another place in Colorado, but fuck, man, it's hard.
Yeah,
Everyone, not a lot of places, and everyone's looking. But yeah, it's good, man. The weather's kind of a little bit nicer now. In Colorado, it'll dump like a foot and a half of snow, and then for the next 2 days it'll be like 60 degrees and melts, and then it'll do that like every couple of weeks. So that's,
yeah,
we're in the nice times right now. So uh yeah, I'm trying to think. Kind of got back into training like a little bit harder last week, and feeling good about that because I like my routine, man. I'm a routine guy.
yeah.
I don't like being out of the gym for too long. It makes me anxious. So yeah, man, all is good, man. Just back in training and hopefully hearing about a fight, after next weekend.
Sweet. Yeah, yeah. I guess they kind of up in the air about what could potentially be next until that fight happens, huh?
Yeah, pretty up in the air right now, but we'll see, man. I don't really know how all of this stuff works, like I don't know how it works with like how they make that decision of who to give a title shot to next.
Yeah,
So I guess we'll see.
yeah. Well, we'll all be campaigning for you for sure. So I figure I'll jump into just kind of run through like a quick timeline. I'm gonna try to get through this stuff as quickly as possible because I know you probably want to rest up and get your week started and everything. So again, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. I know that we have some similarities in early training experience. So I started in Taekwondo at 6 also. You were like 6 or 7,
Nice.
right?
Yeah, I was pretty young. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so that was like the first thing I started in. I actually stayed in until I was a black belt, and then switched to Kyokushin because at a tournament I was like a little brute kid, man. I was like sidekicking the shit out of people in Taekwondo tournaments, and this guy came up to me super random and was like, "You should do Kyokushin," and I was like, "Okay," And my mom was cool, and she got me into it, and I really liked that. And I know your parents had something similar where they thought maybe boxing would be a better thing for you too, right?
So I did Taekwondo when I was like a kid, and
Yeah.
then I stopped liking it because we had like a really old school instructor, and I thought he was kind of a dick. And
Oh shit.
you know, like he was just like an old school dude that just didn't have patience for like kids that
Yeah.
age. And I remember whenever we would do any Taekwondo sparring, we would strap that chest thing on,
Yeah.
and and I would always get yelled at by the dude for like throwing punches on people and like scoring, and like not like Taekwondo style. It was like,
Yeah.
I would just attack the kid and take him down or whatever I had to do to like
Yeah.
not get beat up.
You're
It
trying to
wasn't
win.
like side. Yeah, I was trying to win. So that dude would always yell at me, and that's when I was like, man, I'm not getting yelled at by this guy anymore. So
Right.
then we left that, and then I used to do just like, really minimal boxing, just with my buddy's older brother. Um, and then but that was like real minimal, man. Like and then it was, you know, kickboxing and jiu-jitsu starting in high school, and yeah, that was kind of where it started.
And I know you grew up playing basketball too, right?
Yep, yep. I was a that was our sport. No, we were like a basketball family growing up. Yep.
I'm always curious because I that was so I was 100% sure I was gonna play in the NBA until I was like
Yeah, me too.
12 years old, and then my where I live, PG County, is it was like the Bad News Bears basketball team, and I was the center, so I was kind of tall when I was 12, but I wasn't a fucking center. You know what I mean? And like literally, we like getting rebounds and stuff was almost impossible. I was like super short, and I remember we would get beat so bad that like at one point like kids just stopped coming. Like one game, only four of us showed up, and one of the kids' dad was the coach, and his brother was there like to like help out, and they were like, well, they let him play so we could just play the game. But it was five of us playing full court against a fresh team for the whole game, and we got slaughtered. But in that game, I got a rebound and I was just so frustrated. I like dribbled out to the 3-point line and everyone's like, no, 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 no. What are you doing? I turned around and like sunk it. And they're like, all right, yeah, 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 yeah. Just shoot this. So
People only
then,
love you when you win.
right,
People only
exactly,
love you
right.
when you win.
Now they're on me. Yeah, so it was crazy because then after that though, like then it was like they started kind of putting me in different positions, and I started playing more at point guard as I got a little bit older beyond that. Um, and yeah, swear to God, I was going to go to UNC, be a Tar Heel, then play for the Orlando Magic. Like that was, and then
Yep.
I started playing, I played a lot of like hoop it up tournaments and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, these guys are way too big. I'm never going to be able to do this.
Yeah, that was my experience too. Except I was really small, bro. I was like a really, really tiny kid.
Yeah.
And but I was quick and I could dribble. And so I had that going for me. And then yeah, I used to play all those like 3v3,
Yeah.
you know, like all of those tournaments and stuff growing up, and then just being on like pretty competitive teams and traveling and stuff. And yeah, that was like most of like my sports history is yeah, doing all that. But yeah, I was 100% like, hey, don't you guys know I'm making millions by playing, you know, for the Heat
The
in a
Heat,
couple
that was a
years, mom
team.
and dad, you know. And
Damn, we would have been
and
in Florida together, baby. We could have been
bro,
there.
could you imagine you're my parents? And because I was little, bro, like I was supposed to be 5'2" growing up. That's what the doctor always told me.
Oh
So
shit.
could you imagine? Yeah. So could you imagine being my parents and like hearing that from this like 3 foot, you know, 12-year-old kid? You're just like, yeah, sure you are, man.
You just got to fan the flames, man, because you never know. I mean, we had Muggsy Bogues growing up back then, Spud Webb. There were some short guys out
Yeah.
there doing
Oh
it.
yeah. I used to love Spud Webb, Nate Robinson, all of
Yeah,
those
Nate
little guys,
Robinson.
man. Even Allen Iverson was only 6
Oh
foot.
yeah, hell yeah,
Yeah. Allen Iverson was my guy, bro. I used to
yeah,
love watching Allen Iverson play.
yeah. I wonder. It's funny because as I was doing trying to do some research so I could ask you some decent questions, and when I saw that, I was like, damn, I wonder because nothing like you, but I've always felt like I had pretty decent footwork and tried to make sure our guys have pretty good footwork. And I'm like, I wonder if that correlates, like growing up. Because I'll bring it up here all the time when I'm showing them how to like move in and then cut an angle. And I know my students or whatever. I'm like, it's like having a good crossover. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, baby, we're trying to break ankles and jaws in here. You know what I mean? We got to do
Yeah,
it
pretty
right.
much, bro. Pretty much. That's yeah, man. I think that's I think basketball is a really good sport to get like athletically well rounded.
Mhm.
Like everyone in MMA wants to talk about being like a really good wrestler and stuff. And yeah, of course, like that helps. But I don't know, man. I've seen some wrestlers throw a football, man, and it's
Yeah,
not not good.
yeah.
So yeah, man. I think yeah, basketball's helped a lot for sure. And yeah, man, it's just like breaking ankles. It's just, and then like hand-eye coordination, reacting to things flying at your face.
Setting up
Yeah,
traps, drawing people
yeah,
in where you want them to go and going a
yeah,
different
yeah,
route, which
yeah,
obviously you
yeah,
do really well.
yeah.
That's dope, man. Do you think your degree in psychology assists like in your mindset?
I think maybe not the degree, but my interest in it
Yeah,
definitely.
I guess that's a better
Um,
question.
yeah, I didn't learn anything in college, man. Like I went to classes, just to make my parents, you know, happy that I was in college, but
Yeah,
it was all just training in college. That's all that I did.
yeah.
And but yeah, my interest in it for sure. I think it started when I first started working with my striking coach, Christian Allen, who's been like my head coach, and he's huge on that. Like he was always dropping like Krishnamurti quotes and Carl Jung quotes and Bruce Lee quotes, and all of those like have a no mind type of ways of thinking. So that's been in my head processing since I first started martial arts, and I think that that's helped develop my mindset just with like my interest in it also. Just it's interesting, man. Like everything is comes from our brains, and like that interests me.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of times, if we're struggling in any areas, there's almost always some type of mental aspect that can be adjusted to kind of help get through.
Yeah,
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 yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. I didn't actually didn't know that about you until started reading up a little bit more. And so you've been with Christian since you're 17.
yep. Since I was 17, yeah, but I'll be 29 in April.
Damn, that's
Yeah,
awesome. So so
yeah,
most of your like striking career has been with him.
yeah. All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's my guy, man. Like, he was fighting when I first signed up for my first class at high altitude martial arts, and
Mhm.
I always really looked up to the guy. And then it kind of turned into, all right, now he's my coach. All right, now he's my friend. Now he's my best friend. Now and he's still my mentor. It's like it's a cool relationship. I don't think in the sport you see a lot of people that have been with the person that they've been with since day one, and
Yeah.
uh, I mean, 12 years almost later. That's how long I've been with that dude. We were just in LA a couple of days ago doing Theo Von's podcast, and
Yeah.
uh, he's still who I bring on stuff like that usually. And
Right.
yeah, it's cool. It's special.
That's awesome. And he's obviously um I'm sure he's a guy that people are going to start looking at even more now, because the more that the more you fight, I'm sure people are being like, "Damn, where's he getting all this stuff from?" So that's pretty sick. That's always a good calling card for the coaches. When somebody is excelling, especially the way that you are. I mean, you always go out there and do something cool and make it look clean, and you have great footwork, great vision out there always. So I'm always super excited to watch you fight. And that's badass, man. It's cool that you guys have been together so long. I know once you start getting to that point of being together for so long too, like the idea exchange is always really fluid too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a cool part of maybe the last couple of years too. Is like I think when you have like a real good relationship with someone too, you can kind of be like, hey man, like I think that that's not the best idea,
Hmm.
and then he can give his argument for it, and I can give my argument for it, and I think that like you don't get that with a coach that you're working with for a year or six
Yeah.
months or whatever. Uh, that's really difficult to do. So yeah, like it's a lot more collaborative definitely than in the past, which is it makes us both better too, because it feels like uh he's just a genius, bro. He's like one of those like weird, like a little bit out there type of guys.
Hmm.
And yeah, we come up with some like really cool shit that I don't think a lot of other people are really thinking about or even entertaining the idea of some of that stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where it is in about 5 more years from now too.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, I mean it's clear now, because you've been fighting at a higher level even since when I first met you. So I've been super aware obviously for a long time. So yeah, and it's only gotten better, and to be able to do it at the level that you're doing it now is a big statement too.
Yeah.
Um and then so is high altitude and Easton, is that separate?
They're kind of sister gyms.
Okay.
Um, So they're through like the same affiliate program, but high altitude is a little bit more its own entity than the other Eastons. But there's a bunch of Eastons around
Right.
Colorado. Yeah. So high altitude was started by Nate Marquardt,
Hmm.
um, and uh, and then now Cody Donovan and Christian Allen own it, and
Okay.
so they, I don't know how entwined they are, but they're definitely sister gyms and stuff. Like
Yeah.
the high altitude is sometimes called the Aurora Easton. So they're kind of tied together.
That's cool. And
Yeah.
then, and because you spend time at Easton too, right?
Yep. Most of our pro practices are at Easton's.
Okay.
And then I do my when I coach and I do like my nighttime training, it's at high altitude martial arts.
I got you.
And then so I was at high altitude, and then when I went up to Boulder for school, that's when I started training at Easton's. That was before high altitude and Easton's were kind of together.
Right.
And then so I was training in Boulder with at that Easton's, and then I would drive down to Aurora and train at high altitude usually at night, and then back and forth, back and forth. Uh, so yeah.
That's cool because you guys have like a little network out there of like of gyms where everyone's kind of collaborating a little bit between
Yep, yep.
East Ends and then obviously high altitude and then you had the elevation fight team for a while too.
Yeah.
That does that place not have like an actual like brick and mortar building anymore?
So when do you remember when Muscle Farm was around?
Yeah, I remember they
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they put all that together at
Yep,
first,
yep,
right?
yep. Yeah, so we were kind of like a Easton's and Grudge team. That was Trevor Whitman's old gym.
Yeah.
We were all one team, and then we went to Muscle Farm, and then when we went to Muscle Farm, we didn't want to call it Muscle Farm. We wanted
Yeah.
to call it something that we wanted to call it.
Right,
So
right, right.
that's when we started calling it Elevation Fight Team. And I think that everyone kind of just liked the idea of it not having a gym affiliation or whatever.
Yeah.
So when we moved to Muscle Farm, that's when we started calling it Elevation Fight Team. And then we moved away from Muscle Farm, and it's still called the Elevation Fight Team, but it's mostly out of high altitude and
And
Easton's.
Easton. Okay, cool. I
Yeah.
knew it was something along those lines. I was just trying to clear it up for myself mentally because
Yeah. Yeah.
um I know there's yeah, I like that you guys have that network. We're a little similar here too. Like a lot of the gyms kind of collaborate with each other to help keep each other sharp and stuff like that. I feel like that's a good way to do it if you can.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. If you can swing that without it, creating a bunch of stuff
yeah.
where guys are fighting guys and stuff, then yeah, it's definitely the way to go about doing it.
It wasn't always like that. I'm not gonna. I obviously can't take credit for it, but we started doing the Spar Wars things,
Mm,
events years ago, and I know that helped a lot with like the Muay Thai. Some of the MMA gyms around here would cross train with each other before that too, but it was definitely a little bit more cutthroat around here before. I think the Spar Wars things kind of helped people be like, it's all right, like because I personally never like I don't care if people think that we're the best gym in Maryland. Like I wanted to be, I wanted people to know us all over the world. So I'm
mm,
like I don't if we
mm.
spar and there's some people at a gym down the road and they're like beating my guys up, like cool, let's train. I want our people to get better. I
Nice.
don't need to be to be the best gym in Maryland. Like we wanted, I was kind of always try to look beyond that. And that was where the Spar Wars idea came from, was trying to get everybody in this area together because I know we do have some talent and it's only going to help kind of push each other. So I think what you guys are doing is super smart. And obviously it's creating good results because there's a lot of killers coming out of there. Um what's your well actually I'm gonna come back to this because I got a funny story actually since you brought up Nate Marquardt. So when I first started, actually I don't even think I was training yet. I was just like a MMA nerd that was like I was like a big MMA nerd. I went on like the forums and like we
Mm,
talked about this a couple weeks ago on the podcast. Like I could tell you every fight that was coming up, who was on it. I mean, it was a little easier back then because there was like 7 shows a year instead of one like
yeah.
every week.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I was like heavy into it. And I thought at the time, because I was coming down, I was big and I was coming down in weight, and I was like, I'm gonna fight at 185. I had no idea what I was talking about, obviously. And I would get murdered at 185. I'm not that big. And but I like Nate Marquardt was like one of my favorites. And I was, man, I hate even telling the story, but it's so funny. I feel like it's I had like messaged him on MySpace. This is how old this is, and was like, man, I'm a big fan, blah blah blah. And he was like really cool. He was like, awesome, man, start training, do your thing or whatever. And then like, because I came from like that old school like martial arts, like I was like, maybe one day we'll share the cage and it would be an honor, and I would love to fight you, or something. Like I was trying to be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I was thinking about it now, I'm like, you little piece of shit. Like, why would you even say that? And then, but he was so funny because he was like, no, you don't. And put like a little smiley, winky face. Like, no, you don't. And then years later, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, not nowhere near big enough. Denver would be able to fucking fight Nate Marquardt. He's like such a
Dang,
monster.
he was trying to crush the competition before you got even started.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, I haven't even started training yet. Like I was such a dumbass thing to say. And yeah, but he was super cool about it in that sense. He just kind of was like, no, you don't, get out of here.
Yeah.
And was
Yeah.
super nice. Yeah. I mean, he didn't even have to respond to me on MySpace in the first place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
always, yeah. Honestly, I feel like it made me even bigger fan of him after that, just because it was such a cool one. Because he could have been like, man, fuck you, I'll kill you next time. Uh, he was very cool about it. So yeah, always been a big Marquardt fan before and after that situation. You guys got a lot of killers out there. I mean, even before, because I feel like over the last couple of years, it's gotten bigger and bigger. More, people are like moving to come there. But before that, I mean, you had, like with Neil Magny and like Brandon Thatch, and there was like, you guys had some homegrown killers there already too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Neil, so I've been following Neil because Neil fought one of my old teammates, Frank Camacho, to get into the Tough
Mm.
House. So
Yep.
I've kind of figured out, knew who he was, because Frank was a monster, man. He fights in the UFC too. I'd say
Yep.
he
Yep.
is. And like, just, I mean, he was one of those guys in the room that was like, he was the problem. Like, he was the guy, and we were like, Frank's gonna win tough. He's gonna win tough. And he had a good, I think he had a good first round, and then he got tired, and Neil came out and did his thing, and been a big fan of Neil ever since then too. So what's the dynamic like there now that you guys are starting to get more people coming into training? Because you kind of had that elevation, I guess, too, and both before, when it was Muscle Farm, and now it's just continuing to grow.
Yeah, I mean, it was even bigger. Honestly, it feels way more tight knit than it did when we were at Muscle Farm, because when we were at Muscle Farm was paying a lot of the UFC guys to train there. So we were
Yeah,
getting guys, like Dillashaw was in there. He was getting paid pretty good from them, I think. And then Matt Brown was also training with us over there. He was getting paid pretty good too, I think. And then like it brought Dan Hooker out
oh yeah, that's
because
right. Him and
yeah,
Neil are like
because
super tight because of that still, right?
yep, yep, yep. Curtis came out because of the Muscle Farm thing.
Nice.
So yeah, so when we were there, we had like people like that were there, and I think a lot of it maybe had to do with uh they were kind of getting compensated pretty good, I think, for being in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
UFC and training there, and doing the posts and stuff like that or whatever. So now that we left them, we don't necessarily get like crazy high caliber fighters, I guess you could say, but we bring in guys that aren't doing it for the money, which is of course nice.
yeah, for sure.
And not that maybe that's why they were all doing it back then, but I
Well, you
think it
know for
probably
sure why
maybe
they're
had
doing it now. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I mean, we got a tight group there, man. Like we don't have uh many, we don't have any problems uh with like the team is just a tight knit team. Like we're cool. We don't have a ton of people that come in from out of town too much anymore,
yeah.
that aren't cool, or and that have bought into the team and stuff. So yeah, man, we have like a good thing going. It's cool.
It's awesome. Yeah, you guys got a great team. Obviously, even from the Muay Thai side, been close to Sean for a while now. Ashley when she was still out there. I know Dan just fought. Like I, super
Yeah,
got a lot of love for the Easton team. We even did a collaboration T-shirt a couple years ago. Level Up
I
Easton
remember. Yeah, I
shirt.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the square up
yeah, square up. Yeah.
with the UP and the plus. Yeah, it was like a cool. Yeah, that was dope, man. I always had a lot of love for you guys, and
I think you guys probably made that square up phrase popular out here.
I got, what, I got it from Sean though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but he might have said it like two times around me or something. When we were traveling to Spain, we were doing something. He was like, "Square up," and I was cracking up. And I think he said it again, and then I just started saying it all the time too. It like got stuck in my head.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then just because we were like the East Coast Square Up chapter, and we just kind of we just kept it moving out there. Yeah, so we met you guys kind of briefly at Nationals, WK Nationals, and was that, I think it was 2014.
yep.
You and Sean came out to fight, and then really got to know you guys or got to know you in Italy. We went to the world championship. We held it down that year. We had a good year that
Bro,
year.
that was so fun, man. That was still one of the best trips of my life.
Me too. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Such a strong team. Like really went out there and represented. I think that was definitely that year, and the following year I went back with my wife Erin, and we had Paul Benajic and a bunch of other people on the team the next year. So it was like 2 years back to back where we kind of really went out there and shut it down. But yeah, that
yeah,
was a really cool team. We had a lot of good, Jordan Graham was on there. Obviously
yeah,
Patrick, Henry Lee,
yeah,
Mark. There were so many good people on the team that year.
yeah. Yeah, that was fun, man. That was yeah, everyone was good. Everyone did pretty good too, from what I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
no one
smashed it.
yeah, yeah, everyone did really well. Uh that trip was cool. The weight cutting situation was pretty terrible.
Yeah, that was tough out there, huh?
Dude, bro, I couldn't sleep the night before weigh-ins just because I usually can't. And I go downstairs and I forget the guy's name, man, but it was like a air or not an Airbnb, but like a
Yeah,
bed and breakfast. It was like a
mhm,
house, right?
yeah,
Of course I'm telling people that are listening, but it was
right.
like this Italian house. And so it's set up like a house. And I go downstairs, it's like 2, 3 in the morning. And I forget his name, but the dude is down there jump roping, bro, in his sweats.
Oh
And I
shit.
was like, because it's a house, because you couldn't, there's nowhere to sweat, bro.
No.
You were either running outside and the bathtub, hot water heater, only lasted for a couple of inches in the tub. So it's not like you were sweating that way.
Nope.
I go downstairs at like 2 or 3 in the morning and this fool is just jump roping. And I'm like, I'm like, man, how long you been doing that? He's like, all night, bro. And I'm like, how
uh,
long you gonna do that for? He's like, all night, bro. And I just watched TV. I just watched TV with that fool at like three
oh
o'clock in the
shit.
morning while he jumped roped until breakfast time. And then we went, and then I went and got breakfast a little bit, and that fool just jump roped all night, dude. It was so funny.
God damn. Yeah, it's a little brutal over there in Europe sometimes for those that don't know when you got to cut weight like in these. Yeah, because we had a similar situation in Spain, and then because I didn't remember when we got there. I remember we got there and like they were like, "Oh yeah, there's a." I think they said there was like a sauna or something in the basement. We went down there and it was just like you open the door and it was just like a bunch of like broke shit. Like there was like it was just like literally like a bunch of like disassembled like garbage in there. And we're like, what is this? And they're like, oh yeah, sorry, never mind. And I was like, oh man. Like luckily Luther for me, Luther was heavyweight, so it wasn't a problem for him. Jared was always like right around 125. Pat had to cut a little bit, but his wasn't too bad.
Mm,
And luckily he only had to make the weight the one time because we've done the IFMA and the Waco tournaments where you got to do it every day. So that would have been tough out there for sure for that. But yeah, we talk about it all the time. Anytime that you've come up, I'm always like, yeah, he's a guy I knew like way back then was going to be a monster no matter what you did. Because you could tell, you could see it in your abilities even back then, and obviously
mm.
he's just continued to level up ever since.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
awesome, yeah, of course, man. Yeah, it was awesome, and then we stayed in touch, and you did for your was that your pro debut that we did the t-shirt for, or was that your second fight? I don't remember now.
What I don't remember either, but
And
it was one of those.
it was early on there. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have in
yeah,
my
yeah,
my notes gratuitous Urban Ninja plug.
yeah, yeah. Urban Ninja. That's just such a cool name, man.
Thank you, brother. I
Urban Ninja.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's just a good name. Yeah, good name.
I've been trying to I'm trying to like get all my apparel stuff going again because I've been kind of slacking on it. And
It was the one with the license plate. I remember.
yeah, the Sandhagen, and then I
Yeah.
had the
Okay. Yeah.
Urban
Yeah.
Ninja
I remember now. Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the I'll pop it up right here. I had the Urban Ninja with the Colorado colors. You know what's crazy? The one of a pro boxer that I sponsored at the same time, around that same time, Tony Jetter, he liked your shirt so much, even though he's from Maryland. He was like, "Bro, can we do that on my shirt and just put something different on the back?" And I was like, because I fucked with the colorway too, so I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." So we did.
Yeah.
We did like the same Colorado colors on the front, and then put something different on the back.
Damn,
It was
those shirts were dope, dude. I wish I still had one. I don't think I have one anymore though.
I'll make you some throwback ones. I actually
Word.
still I wonder what's it because I wasn't fat fuck back then, so I might even I wonder if the one I have might be a medium. If it is, I'll send it to you because I still have mine in my
Cool.
closet. It was like special to
Hell
me
yeah. Cool.
because it
Cool.
was
Hell yeah.
like I said, I knew you were gonna be a star, man. I knew you had
Mm.
we talked about it back then even too. I knew you were gonna go and do your thing, and I was honored to even make a shirt for you for you to fight pro and stuff like that. And kind of sucks now. We actually talked a little bit about this last week. I had Brian Butler of Sucker Punch on the show.
Mm.
And we talked about like how different it is now sponsorship wise because like obviously you guys can't wear like you can't wear Urban Ninja on your fight kit in the UFC. There's not banners and stuff like that anymore. So I know that has to have hurt a little bit the fighters because that's what the companies they want to be on television. They want to see their brand on you coming out and stuff like that. So has that affected you much? Have you noticed the difference
I think I mean I've been around since the whole Reebok thing, so I
with your
don't really
kit?
know what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't really know what it was like before that, but I do have like Thatch was telling me, Brandon Thatch,
Hmm.
he was telling me he was making a lot, on his shorts.
Yeah.
And when they switched over to that, he was like, "Cause bro, I think you start at like 3,500, bro."
Yeah. It's low. I know it's low.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I want to say I don't think he was making six figures, but on his shorts. But I don't think it's far fetched to think that if I, if I wanted to, I could probably, make six figures off of my shorts.
I bet you
Uh,
definitely could. Yeah.
yeah. And to think about it, yeah, that kind of that kind of does suck a little bit. But
It
I mean,
does
what
suck.
what can you do?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
what can you
yeah,
do?
there's not. It's totally out of the. So like for you guys now, are like if you get it, can you get a sponsor and just like I'm sponsored by them? Like are businesses still on that much with you
Yeah,
guys?
yeah. I mean, you could do whatever you want on social media. You just can't do the shorts thing. And
Right.
then the week of the fight week when you do your interviews and stuff, you usually have to be either wearing something nice or you have to be wearing the Reebok stuff.
Yeah. And they're
Yeah.
supposedly going to be moving to Venom at some point soon, as what I
I
heard a
think,
while
bro,
back.
yeah, I think in April,
That's
maybe.
cool. All right. Well,
I
I
hope
guess we'll
so. I
see.
hope it's an
Yeah.
updated deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. That's kind of a crazy thing. So we talked, like I said, talked to Brian about. It. I was asking him because it was also even for businesses during that time when the boom was happening for MMA, it was kind of like, okay, I have this business, I like MMA, let me throw some money at this person, and it's also going to help my business too. Like Urban Ninja started around that time where I was like, okay, like that was like how what I envisioned that company being too, like kind of like a fight brand. I honestly always really preferred for it to be more of like a streetwear brand, like a Ruka,
Mm,
and that was always my ultimate intention was to go that route with it eventually. But the market that I have is obviously the fight community because the stuff I
yeah.
design a lot of times that's what who's gonna wear it and stuff like that. But yeah, that kind of when that shift happened, it kind of like
Yeah.
killed that. And I think there was a lot of companies out there that were probably like, well, damn, what are we gonna do
Yeah. Yeah. I
now?
bet. I bet.
What's your training schedule like? Because I know a lot of people are gonna be pissed at me if I don't like. What do you like? What's your like a weekly sort of routine? If you can give away something, I know you don't want to probably give people all your secrets and stuff, but
No, I don't mind. It's what is it? It's in training camp Sunday. I always take off. Monday is a 2 a day. Tuesday is a 2 a day. Wednesday's 3. Thursday's 3. Friday's 3, and Saturday is 2. And then so usually in the morning, it's just on most days in the morning, it's some type of strength and conditioning, and then a couple hours of a break, and then it's or it's hit and mitts or something like that in the morning,
mhm,
some type of conditioning, anything. And then around 1 o'clock, we have our team practice every single day. So that's either sparring, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. And then at 6 o'clock at night, it's a, depending on the day, it's either a lot of drilling or it's more live training, usually in grappling. And yeah, that's usually the schedule is 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then a little bit less on the days where we only do 2 days. But um it's a lot of drilling, to be honest, man, especially in MMA, just like grappling.
mhm.
It's like such a technical thing, and it's a lot slower, and it developed, and like it's a lot more of like a thinking thing than striking is. Striking happens so fast that there isn't a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like figuring stuff out in those drilling sessions. Um, but yeah, it's not terrible. The one thing that I have added in a lot too is a lot of visualization, meditations, and like every couple of days, every Monday and Saturday for sure. But if I need to do it more, I'll do it more. I'll write down what I'm doing, what I'm working on, what's working well, what's not working well, what are the things that I'm ready to implement into like my real rounds, and then what do I still need to drill out and get better at. And it's just a shitload of drilling, to be honest, man.
Yeah, I love drilling. I think that's probably the most important thing that a lot of people don't do enough of.
Yeah.
You gotta kind of because I don't think people realize like how much you have to train your subconscious even. And I tell I get on just even our regular basic students about shadow boxing, and I'm like, don't bullshit when you shadow box, 'cause you're either gonna build good habits or you're gonna build bad habits. Like if you're looking at it as just like a warm up and just kind of moving around and not thinking about what you're doing, like that's gonna carry over even when you spar. You're gonna like if you like jab and they're like looking around, and you're gonna be coming to me after sparring like, why do I keep getting hit every time I jab? I'm like, probably because you bullshit on your jab when you shadow box, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You gotta get focused from the bell to bell. You gotta be in there. Are
You
you
gotta
running?
do it
Are
all
you
with
running a
love,
lot?
man.
Yeah, for sure.
Do it all with love. I used to run a lot.
Yeah.
I don't run as much anymore, only because I was running. I still, so on Friday after sparring, because we'll spar on Friday, and Saturdays are kind of like I'll see how my body's feeling, so I don't stress about it. So on Fridays, I'll either go on a really long bike ride or a really long run.
Mhm.
But that's the only running that I'm doing, only because I just can't drill as hard or work out as hard if I'm doing too much running. Like
Yeah.
there's just too many practices and too much to squeeze in, and I feel like running had to get cut.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, hearing your
Yeah,
schedule, that's why I asked, because I was like, damn, when the hell would he run in that? But you're getting
yeah.
it. You're getting what you need and all that stuff too.
I
Mm,
try to get in one a week though, one a week at least, or bike
yeah,
ride.
that's
Yeah.
good. Sparring wise, are you mixing up your hard sparring and doing technical sparring, or are you doing one more than the other?
Uh yeah, so technical sparring I kind of group in with drilling.
Okay.
Um so I'm doing that like usually at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Um and then two days a week, Tuesday, Friday, it's hard sparring.
Nice.
Um and it's not crazy, like no one's trying to knock me out and I'm not trying to knock anyone else out, but
Just with intent.
we're yeah, we're trying to get tired, and we're trying to
Nice.
give each other good looks and stuff. But
Yeah.
our team practice is set up where we set the timer for 6 rounds, and you can do as many rounds as you can, or you don't have, or you can do all of them, or you can, do one, sit one, take one, whatever. I do all six of them. Not all of them are like hard rounds. If I'm getting ready for a 5 round fight, it's all 6 rounds. I'm doing hard, and then uh if it's a 3 round fight, usually I'm doing 5 rounds all the way up until about 3 or 4 weeks away, and then I go down to 3 rounds, and then I'll do the rounds that the clock is still running. I'll just text bar during those rounds, so I'm drilling in those ones
Nice.
also. Yeah.
Um, are you normally sparring with everybody, or you have like people closer to your weight?
Yeah, closer to my weight.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I'm fighting a pretty specific body type. Like no one
Yeah.
else is really built too much like me. So I try to get partners that are like that. I try to get as many wrestlers as I can to try to wrestle me.
Right.
Um, and those are like the training partners that I'm trying to go with the most. Like
Yeah.
we have Dustin Ortiz on our team now, who used to fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get as many rounds as I can with him, because he's solid everywhere, and he's
Yeah.
built like the guys that I'm fighting. And then I have a couple really good wrestlers, Carrington Banks and Taiwan Claxton, who I wrestle with.
Yeah.
And I try to have them just take me down as many times as they can in the rounds. And then
Yeah.
and then honestly, man, my number one training partner is probably this kid Elias Rodriguez, who's only 19 years old, who's just like a freak of
Shit.
of a fighter already. But he's like always down to train or whatever. So I train with that dude a lot also.
Yeah. Shout out
Yeah.
Elias.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
throw
he's
his
gonna be a beast, bro. In five
Yeah.
years, he's gonna be past where I am in
Is
about.
he competing already?
He hasn't even had an MMA fight. He had his first kickboxing fight a few months ago,
Okay.
and then we're trying to get him an MMA fight in April.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you guys, are you always doing like full, like with takedowns, uh,
Yep.
are always
Yep.
big gloves, or do you guys wear the MMA gloves, like the training?
MMA. So one day is big gloves, one day is small gloves.
Nice.
We'll do all of my grappling is MMA grappling. I don't really roll without any of the gloves anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything is mostly done in the small gloves. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, Sweet. Yeah. And then, so yeah, I just wanted to get, because I know people would be like, "Damn, how come you didn't ask him about his training stuff?" So because a couple people, I know, like Pat, like, because Pat, I keep telling you met Pat. So for those that don't know, Patrick Rivera, one of my guys, was on the team. That was when we met Corey, and I feel like you two guys were two of the guys that really stood out that year for sure too.
hmm
I keep
hmm
telling them to come out there. I'm like, just go out there with Corey, and then, man, like, you'll get so much good work. He goes out to he definitely wants to make a trip out at some point for sure. And
He's 55, or yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Pat's
Yeah, I
good.
know
I
you guys
remember
got
how
tons
good
of
Pat
guys
was.
out there for him to work with.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Gaethje, I feel like that would just, like, you can't get anything like that probably in the world to
Yeah.
get that look would be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and then I know coming up, you fought for RFA, which became LFA a few times. Were they RFA? Was that closer to you? Were they in Colorado when they were first doing shows more?
Yeah. So it started as Ring of Fire, and
Right.
then they changed it to RFA, and then Legacy and Ring of Fire, or RFA, got together and
Yeah.
created
Oh,
Legacy
I didn't
Fighting
realize
Alliance. Yeah.
RFA was Ring of Fire. Okay, that makes sense now
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I remember hearing, because I remember Ring of Fire. That's where Cowboy came up on too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where a lot of the guys
Yeah.
from Colorado came up onto.
Oh, that's dope. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you had that because I feel like they're definitely like that step right there before UFC now. So
hmm
I was excited when I saw that you started going with them, because I was like, okay, cool, he's on the path. Um, so I figured we'll run through some of the fights, the recent fights, and then I'll let you get out of here, man, if that's cool.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so obviously the Aljo fight, not the one, didn't go the way that you wanted to, but you got your sights locked on him in the future again at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, mentally after that fight, like where are you at? Like how'd you like mentally be like, okay, I got to do this next or whatever?
Yeah. I went into that fight just way too flat, bro.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. Well, I have some ideas of like what to attribute that to, but I think more than anything, I was just a little bit underestimating him, and I went into the fight really flat, and
Yeah.
and that's kind of what led to me getting whooped up really quick. So I learned that when you go into a fight, you need to be ready. The second the bell rings, you need to be ready to like put your hands on that person.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't walk into that fight with that mentality of like, okay, I'm gonna have to fight this person.
Yeah.
So I just, I made the correction, and so now before every sparring session, whether I'm feeling good or bad or overtrained or sick or whatever it is, or a little bit injured, whatever it is, I get myself to a place in my head where when the bell rings, I'm putting my hands on the person, and I'm ready for them to put their hands on me. And that's, I've been practicing that. It's not something that you can just do,
Yeah.
like you have to practice it. So I've been practicing that, and I think it's shown in my last two that I've
Yeah.
gotten pretty good at it, because
Yeah.
I walk out now and it's a different energy.
Right.
It's like it's a kill or be killed. It's not this bullshitty type of uh not ready to fight me that was when I fought Aljamain, and
Yeah.
and I'm just a different monster from it. Uh,
Mhm.
so I'm grateful for it or whatever. But yeah, I go in there like ready to put my hands on someone.
Yeah, it shows. And the losses suck, but oh yeah, I tell my guys all the time, I'm like, knowing how to lose is so important because it's like
Yeah.
it's something that's like I definitely am not doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that
you know
that's
what to stay
yeah,
away from, right?
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
a really good way to say it too, because it's not this like coddling type of like, oh hey, like hey man, you lost, like okay. It's not that shit. It's like, hey man, like yeah, that's how fucking bad it hurts to lose. So don't
Hmm.
let that shit happen again.
Yeah.
Uh and yeah, that's losing in this sport is, the worst. And
Yeah.
and fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah. But obviously lit a fire in the mentality and the shift in focus has been shown because he came out in the Marlon fight, and that, I mean, that guy's a monster too. The you came back and put a stamp on two people that are not to be slept on for sure.
Yeah.
So going into the Marlon fight, you're like, all right, when the bell rings, like I'm ready, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had practiced like getting to that like kill or be killed type of mentality a number of times in all of my sparring sessions going through that camp. And yeah, when I got into the cage, it was that mentality times 10, because it was real.
Yeah.
And same thing with Frankie. Like it was the same thing, even more times than that probably, because I'm kind of honing it a little bit better now. Um, but yeah, man, it was just like it's just different, when you go in with the intent to like hurt the person and ready to like do whatever you need to do in order to win. Like when you set that intention, I think it just changes the way that you fight.
Yeah. Was the spin kick something that you were like thinking about ahead of time, or was it something that you just kind of felt in the moment?
It's a little bit part of my game. I definitely got good at them in the quarantine because there wasn't really anything else to do.
Yeah.
So I was just practicing that kick a lot
He's in the
downstairs,
house.
just
We
out of
spin.
like, yeah, just out of straight boredom. I was doing that in the basement.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really planned, but it was something that I had added into my game for sure.
Yeah. And you felt it and was like, all right, now's the time. Here we go. Whoosh,
Yeah, yeah. I
fire
did. I
that
don't
thing.
even. I don't even remember thinking about it. It
Yeah.
just. It just happened.
I love that kick. I obviously coming from the Taekwondo and Kyokushin background, like that's a big part. That kick is money. And for me, I go to the body with it first, and I always tell my guys, I'm like, go to the body with it first, so that they're like worried about their liver, and then rip their face off with it the next time. Because a lot of times they'll like lean back on the one to the head, but man, it was beautiful. I was like,
Yep.
damn, it was super
Yeah.
cool.
I had heard him a couple times to the body before that
Yeah,
too.
you did. Yep.
Yep. So that definitely helped.
Yeah, once they're worried about it, it's like okay, because they kind
Yeah.
of hunching forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I was like, I was like, look at Corey. Look, Corey knows what's up. No, that was beautiful, man. And then yeah, when you let it go, it just clipped them clean. So then going into the Frankie fights, kind of the same question: was the knee something that you had been like working on, or was that another like feeling, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. It was, that's definitely part of my game too. Like if you
Yeah,
watch any of my fights, I throw a lot of them.
yeah,
Sometimes they land good and sometimes they miss, but it's part of the game. But I noticed with Frankie, he was not taking his time, like he wasn't
yeah,
playing any type of like, all right, let me close distance, pull away, close distance. No, it was just like, oh, okay, he's just gonna run forward.
yeah,
And he came forward once through a kick, and I was like, okay, so he's really adamant about attacking. I was like, okay, he'll probably still try to take me down soon. I got against the cage. He threw another combination. I was like, huh, he didn't try to take me down. Interesting. But he's still just rushing forward.
yeah,
And then I went to throw an inside low kick that he got out of the way of, and I heard his coach say, nice Frankie. And I was like, oh, this guy's getting, and then I seen kind of his demeanor change a little bit. And I was like, oh, so this guy's gonna definitely thinks he's doing good and he's gonna close the distance again. And then that's when I was like, okay, well, if he's gonna close the distance, then I'm just gonna huck this monster right up the middle, and he can run into it. And that was the thinking, and how that kind of went down. Yeah.
yeah. It was beautiful, man. Perfectly timed, and just yeah, it was super clean. We were watching it live, obviously. Was super excited for you to get that fight. As we had talked at some point randomly, I think on Instagram or something, about another big potential fight that you were working on. I don't know if you can talk about it, so I won't say the name or anything. But um so yeah, I was excited to see you get like a name like that, because obviously am a fan and consider you a friend and everything too. So I was pumped. I'll be like, all right, here we go. Here's another shot
Yeah.
at him getting to show everybody like how dope he really is. And 100% saw you win in the fight, no matter what, no matter where it went. Wasn't expecting it to be that quick, just because I mean, this is a guy who everybody remembers, like the Gray Maynard, crazy, like this dude's like he's a
Yeah.
Terminator, like he doesn't go out
Yeah.
like that. So were you in the moment where you're like, holy shit?
Yeah. I remember in the back, man, like when I was trying to get myself pumped up, I was like, oh, like you're saying whatever in the back, in
Yeah.
your head or whatever, and you're like, oh, this motherfucker thinks he's gonna outwork me, huh? You're gonna outwork me, huh? Like, come outwork me, come outwork me. So
Yeah,
I was ready for like a 15 minutes
you're ready
of,
for a war. Yeah.
hard ass work. And then yeah, when that happened, I was like, dope.
Yeah. Quick night. I'll take
Yeah,
it. Hell yeah.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
and you had a really classy response afterwards, because I'm sure you, just like everybody loves Frankie,
Hmm.
uh, and nobody wants to see a guy that's seems to be fairly genuinely nice get knocked out like that. But like you said, as him or you, and you gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man. It's
Yeah.
ugly. It's an ugly and a beautiful sport at the
It
same
really
time.
is. Yeah, and that
Yeah.
that that lesson that got burned in from the Aljo fight really kicked in that one, because he came out with the same mentality that you have now, right? Where you're like, all right, look, we gotta get the bell rang. It's time to go.
Yep. Yep.
And you're like, yeah, it's time to go. Come on over here and get this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like, come get this knee if you want to. Um, So, and then, so obviously since then, I mean, like, because your trajectory since you've been in the UFC has been fairly good. I feel like you know, like all my students know you. Everybody here knows you. Everybody's like a fan and stuff. Like I said, a couple of my guys the other day were like, Coach, is Cory really coming on the show this weekend? I was like, yeah. They're like, oh man, I can't wait to
Oh,
watch
that's
that one.
cool. That's
It
cool.
is. It's really dope,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's
It
still
makes me
strange to
happy
me
for
too,
you.
man.
Yeah.
It's still strange to me though. Yeah, it's still a little strange, but yeah, that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I mean, well, because you're, if, you know, obviously people that don't know you personally, not that I know you great or anything, but yeah, you're a super down to earth guy. You've always been super humble. Like I said, even way back in Italy when you looked like a superstar back then, you're always super laid back and very humble. And it's cool to see somebody have that rise that has your type of personality, because those are the people you want to see win and kind of get on and stuff. So since
Yeah.
then, though, I know you've been doing. So you've been doing a lot of podcasts. You're on Hawani. Obviously, you went on Theo Vaughn's. I love Theo Vaughn, man. I'm like a
Oh,
huge
dude,
Theo
he's
Vaughn
awesome,
fan.
bro.
I
Oh, dude,
haven't
I was
watched yours yet because I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't watch
no,
it
you're good.
because I didn't want it to interfere with my
Yeah,
questions and stuff or whatever. So I was like, let me wait until I'm probably gonna like go home and watch it on my phone right after this because I've been dying to
yeah.
see it. So you had a good time though?
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. I was pretty nervous for it, to be honest. So I think
Yeah.
I was talking a little fast or whatever. But yeah, because I'm a big ass fan of his, bro.
He's
Uh,
hilarious.
yeah, he's so funny, man. I saw him last year in Denver. I had been a fan of him since like Comedy Central and shit. So I was
Mhm.
just trying not to fanboy out on that
Yeah.
fool. But but yeah, he's a man. I'm actually doing Rogan this week too, which is kind
No
of cool.
shit.
Or not kind of
Damn.
cool, but yeah, a really big deal. So yeah, I'm doing that on Thursday. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of getting up there,
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. It's getting kind of serious.
I guess you could say things are getting pretty serious.
That's sick, man. It's awesome to see, and I'm excited now. Super excited to watch the Theo Vaughn one. That'll be really cool on Joe, and I know it's got to be wild. I like I said, I felt bad having you even come on a little bit because I'm like, man, this guy. I'm sure everyone's like hammering him now, and you're doing tons of interviews, and it's got to be getting a little bit old. So like I said, definitely,
No way, man. No way, man. You're
I
a friend, like you
appreciate it.
said, man. You're a friend.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, thank God I reached out to him weeks ago. Because now at least I'm like now it's at least like I don't look like hey man, I know you just knocked out Frankie. Can you come on my show, please? You know, I'm like, yeah, we've been
Yeah.
cool, man. I asked him a long time ago. Because I feel like a lot of people are like when they saw that I was having you on, were like, oh damn, that's cool. You got him. I was like, I asked him before that. I was like, I've already been a fan. I've been a fan of him.
Yeah.
I'm not new to this. I've been rocking with Cory for a minute. Um, so and you know you can say what you want to say about this. So I know a lot of times when a fighter has a situation like this where they have like a big win, it also opens up the door for potential like renegotiations. Is that something that you've been able to capitalize on at all, or are you kind of just like riding out
I,
what you got going on?
yeah, if I'm not fighting for a title next, it's definitely going to come with the contract renegotiation. Yeah.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other exciting part about a big W like that is you can be like, all right, well, let's go, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to ride that inertia, man.
Hell
Ride
yeah.
that inertia. Yeah.
Especially with two back to backs like that. That's awesome, man. I'm happy for you
Yeah.
about that too. Are you managed by a management company?
Yeah. I'm with Vayner Sports, with
Okay.
a guy named Lloyd Pearson, but yeah, I'm with Gary V's company.
Awesome. That was actually my
Yeah.
next question because I wasn't sure if they actually managed MMA or if it was like I know some of those companies will handle like a fighter's like social media presence and stuff like that, not necessarily like contract negotiations for the fight stuff, but they do the fight stuff too.
Yep, yep. Yeah, so Lloyd was with so I'd been with Lloyd before he was with Gary
Okay.
or Vayner. And then he got hired on by Vayner. I went with him. And then yeah,
Damn.
so uh yeah, I mean, yeah, Gary's cool, AJ's cool. The company's been super cool to work with. They're
Yeah.
gonna help me out with a lot of the social media stuff because I know that the UFC looks at all of that stuff now, and
Yeah,
hopefully
that's
that'll make
currency
things
too.
easier.
Yeah.
Yep, it's currency. Yep, it's currency. So, and it's just, if they can choose two people, I think, and they're in the same boat, they're probably going to choose the person with the bigger following. So,
100%. That's pay-per-view
yeah,
buys. Yeah,
yep. So that's the game. That's
it
the
is.
sport that we're in now. So, hopefully, they'll help me out with a lot of that stuff, which I'm sure that they will.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, because I was curious, like how you got hooked up with him. So that's all. So that's dope. So your manager was already, you guys were already linked up, and then he linked up with Gary.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Um, like two more things, brother, and I'll let you get out of here. I was curious, just because I was just watching the countdown right before we got on here. Who do you think, Izzy or Jan?
I think Izzy.
Yeah,
I think Izzy's better, and I think he's not like stupid. And I
yeah,
think that the only way that, or maybe not the only way, but I wouldn't have confidence in Izzy if I thought he was a stupid guy. And I
right.
think he's a really smart guy. And I
He's
think
very
that,
calculated with his choices
yeah,
and fights and stuff.
yeah, and his preparation and his strategy
Yeah,
is very calculated too.
yeah,
Um, if I didn't think he was so smart, I wouldn't have as much confidence in him fighting like a smart fight, because he definitely needs to fight a really smart fight against the dude,
yeah,
because that's like some heavy ass power, bro. When he was
yeah.
hitting Dom, I was like, that's different. That's
Different.
something you don't get ready for. Yeah.
No.
So I got Izzy just because I think that he's smart enough to like understand that that's going to be a real
Yeah,
problem if he doesn't, address it.
yeah. I hope Izzy wins. I It's always a little sketchy when they're that fucking much bigger, because like obviously he's at a high level, and he took it to Dominic Reyes, who's also obviously, he's not Israel, but he's a great striker too. So as I think I agree. I think the same thing you think. I think most likely, as he goes in there and makes him miss, gets him tired, hits him in the body a bunch, slows him down that way, chops his legs up, and just make sure he doesn't take any of those hard shots.
Yeah, but if that fool hits him,
Yeah,
Izzy's gonna get hurt.
he's got to
He's
fight
gonna
a
get
perfect
hurt.
fight. Yeah,
Yeah,
which he can
I
do.
agree.
We've seen him do it. And
Yep.
the only thing I was a little bit worried about was, because you never know, but the only thing I was slightly worried about was when he was like, man, they said the same thing about Costa and Romero. I'm like, yeah, those guys are big 185ers. This guy's a big 205er. Like
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
slightly different. And neither one of those guys even wanted to engage with him, so he didn't have to really firefight it out with Romero or Costa. But like you said, it's because of his intelligence, though. Like they weren't able to run in there and bang it out with him because he knew how to nullify that. So yeah, it
yeah.
should be a good one. And then next, who between Aljo and Jan, who are you thinking takes that one?
Mm, I don't know. I say a different answer every time.
Yeah, it's tough. That's a tough one.
I think I don't know, man. I haven't seen Jan get like really pressed, you
Yeah,
know. Uh and Sterling, I mean, if you look at Sterling has like 15 UFC fights or something.
hmm,
Like that dude's been around for like, I think he has like 11 wins or something in the UFC.
yeah,
Uh like that's too short of, I think, TJ
yeah.
or someone. Yeah, so
He's
like
up there, huh?
Joe's been around for a really long time, man, and like Jan, uh, Jan beat Faber to get a title shot, and he beat Aldo, and Aldo's really good too, and Faber's good
Yeah,
also. But I think Aljamain's just had a tough road to the top, and I think he has a ton of UFC experience, and I think he's gonna take it for that reason.
yeah, yeah. I kind of foresaw him taking it too. Man, that
Jan's
Aldo,
nasty though, bro.
he
Jan's
is.
good.
Yeah, and
He's good.
yeah, he's got great striking. He's obviously can switch. The Aldo fight was so frustrating for me because um they start off orthodox. He tore up the lead leg and forced Jan Southpaw, and then I always tell my guys, I'm like, if Southpaw boxer, That's awesome. Because if they're, you just throw that arm kick and they're not, don't let them box.
Mm.
Doesn't have to be a
Mm-hmm.
hard kick. Put that kick across the arms. Just
Yeah.
every time they take a step, boop, you're blocking. Boop, you're
Yeah.
blocking. Because it's not like you got to worry about. I don't think Aldo's worried about Jan catching a kick and taking him down. So
Yeah.
let that thing fly. But he does. Once he switched southpaw, he stopped. He stopped. Aldo stopped kicking, and I was like, no, because then I feel like Jan got into his little boxing groove, and then it was just, he kind of ran away with it. That was a frustrating
Aldo
fight.
makes some questionable decisions
He really
sometimes,
does.
man.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what are you like? Are you there, man?
Yeah. What's going on in the
I don't
corner?
know.
Because he's obviously a very intelligent striker, but
Yeah.
it's like it's almost like it seems like sometimes he's afraid to keep kicking, like he's gonna burn out and he's gonna
Yeah.
not be able to make it to the end of the fight. That's kind of what it seems like. I don't know if that's
It
true.
does seem like that. Yeah, it does
So
seem like
so
that.
it's like he lets off the gas on the kicks, and then it's like you need them. I'm like, fuck it, if you're gonna lose anyway, go out. I feel
Yeah.
like I say go out on your shield. Like I'm in there in the UFC getting, I can't say shit, but from the outside in, it's like, man, just keep letting those kicks go and try to get
Yeah.
that win. So, but yeah, man, I think those is gonna be a good
Yeah.
card next week. I can't wait to see what happens with it, so we kind of maybe get some type of idea of what might possibly be next for you. Obviously, can't wait to see you
Yeah.
back in there. And again, like I really do appreciate you coming on. I know you had a long couple of weeks and been traveling around doing all kinds of stuff. So I appreciate you taking the time. And yeah, if you got any final words, man, just let the people know. And that's it. That's it for me, man. I really appreciate it.
No, that's it, bro. Let's do it again.
Yes, and next time in studio, I'll bring you out. We'll do a seminar and stuff. Get you out here to beautiful Maryland, and yeah, you can come meet some of your Level Up fans, and we'll do it again, brother.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Awesome. All right, brother. Well, thank you again so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, and like I said, I got a bunch of stuff coming your way, so be on the lookout in the mail. Hopefully, the postal service gets it there as quickly as possible.
Cool, man. All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, big dog. Take care.
Yeah, later, bro.